Hello, everyone. Look at you all.
Hello.
Lovely. Get all your cameras turned on so I can see your lovely faces.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Oh,
I don't know.
you all right, Anne? There's always one, isn't there? It's a bit confused.
Most definitely.
What's going on?
Oh, I don't know what the hell's going on. I've lost it completely now.
Oh, you're there. We can see you.
What
See you?
You can. I can't see any of you.
No, we're definitely here. We're definitely here, Anne.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh yes. Hello. We Elaine as well. Right.
Oh, Anne, you've made my day.
I'm no good with this flipping technology. Yeah, I'm not.
Well done for giving it a go.
Thank you.
Love it. Right. Can I ask you all to put mute on? Just because otherwise we get lots of background noise and it can be a little bit distracting. Are you all right with that, Anne? No, she's on it. Brilliant. Great. Okay, and those of you with your cameras off, it would be really nice to see your faces. Hi, Ben. Great to see you. Brilliant. All right, so we're all here for the right reasons, I hope, which is I'm going to just focus on the sound session today. I thought it would be fun to people keep asking us for ideas for their sessions, and I thought, well, why don't we just take a session like the sound session and we'll just workshop it, if that sounds like fun to you. So before I start though, a little bit of housekeeping, which is I've kind of been through, which is if you can keep yourselves on mute, but do feel that you can come off mute and talk to us. Don't feel like I'm just putting you on mute and you can't speak. You absolutely can. It's just that when we have everybody not on mute, it's just a bit too noisy. So if you've got something to say and you'd like to ask a question, please do jump in. I want this to be as relaxed as possible. So just shout in, chime in and say, Laura, I've got a question. Because otherwise I won't be able to see, because I can't do it all, can I, Shania? Can't do it all. And Shania is my right-hand woman here, who give us a wave, Shania. And so she's great in holding things up when the technology goes a little awry. And she's also the one who just sort of sorts everything out. She's just a wonder, really. So that's Shania. And so any questions or anything you can ask Shania too, and she'll notify me. If you're a little bit shy to just jump in and say something, then that's okay too. Just send Shania a message. Do you all know how the chat box works? Down at the bottom, there's a little bubble, speech bubble. If you click on that, you can write in the chat. So maybe you could all say hello in the chat so I can see that we're all happy using it, because I might ask some questions in a minute and get you to answer in the chat. There we are. There's all the highs and hellos. Hello, everyone. Lovely. Really lovely, actually. Do you know what would be even nicer is if you put in like where you work or how you're using CST. Where are you in the UK or anywhere else? If we've got any international people, everyone's welcome. Here we go. So we've got Newquay, got Cornwall. That's 2 from Cornwall. Fife. Brilliant. New Forest, Southants. Oh my word, you're all over the place. Brilliant. Fabulous. And it's great, you know, part of this is making connections with each other as well. I'm going to talk about that a little bit to say, like, why are we all here? And we're all here, I think, because we've got a shared aim. We're all really passionate about providing something for people living with dementia, and not only providing something, but providing something that's evidence-based and in the NICE guidelines. And you know, we know in the NICE guidelines that it says that everybody living with mild to moderate dementia should have access to cognitive stimulation therapy. Full stop. That's how it should be. But we also know that this isn't necessarily the case, that there's a bit of a postcode lottery. So my feeling is that we're all together because we believe in that. And I think if I was to say to you, two different scenarios, same person, two different scenarios. So let's take Mary, who's 79. She's a retired school teacher. Okay. She loves being with people, has been all her life. She's, you know, quite outspoken. She's confident. And then Mary gets a diagnosis of dementia. And then everything changes for Mary. And she's told, you know, there's not much we can do. So there's your diagnosis, off you go. And I think we've all experienced this. You know, Mary won't be seen again until perhaps she hits crisis point, which could be a long way down the line. Or, you know, Mary gets seen every now and again and gets sort of a light touch service, but not much more than that. And what happens is, we know, don't we, that isolation has such an effect. And I think this last year and a half has really shown us that, how isolation can really make a difference to how people are experiencing life. And we know that isolation actually is up there with smoking and obesity, and lack of physical inactivity in terms of what it does for people and the risk associated with that. And we also know that if we're isolated, then we've got 50% more of a chance of developing dementia than if we are socially engaged. So we're talking about people who already have dementia, and imagining that if you're socially isolated, what a difference that will make. And I'm sure that you've probably all got stories that you could tell me about people during lockdown, during this last year and a half, who you've seen deteriorate due to the fact that they've not been able to experience face-to-face groups or whatever. And I know that some of you have been continuing to do face-to-face groups, which has been absolutely amazing throughout, under the understanding of a support group was able to continue, not obviously during the first lockdown, but later. And then I think if we go back to Mary again, having experienced her diagnosis, and then she gets immediately after her diagnosis, she gets 14 sessions of cognitive stimulation therapy. And if we're all doing our best and we all work together, there's no reason why she can't get maintenance CST after that initial 14 sessions. So not only does she get that the therapy that, as we say, is in the NICE guidelines, but also can continue to come along to something that we know is going to be beneficial for Mary. And I think for me and for the work that we do at Memory Matters, that is it, isn't it? Is how do we all work together to plug those gaps? And it's more than that. It's much more than that. It's kind of weaving our expertise, your expertise, to be able to catch those people and give them what they need so that they can live well, essentially. I think if you've heard me speak before, you'll know that I really, really believe that people living with dementia can thrive. And I know it because I've seen it. And that to me is where I want to get to, is that we are delivering in our communities. We're delivering this fantastic therapy in our communities, and that people can have access to it, no matter who they are or you know, or where they are in their after their diagnosis as well. So okay, so I want to thank you all as well. I forgot to say that. Thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate, you know, it's 6 o'clock on a day when the football's happening and everything. So I really do appreciate your you coming in and saying hello and getting involved in this. I also wanted to tell you what you're going to do today. So there were 3 particular things. I'm always really excited when I go to write the session, because some of you sort of behind the scenes, what actually happens is Shania says to me, what's the next workshop, Laura? And I say, I don't know. And then we work it out. And then I have to write like the copy, like, so I have to write, here's what we're going to do. This is why it's so exciting and you should come along. And then there's like a week and then I write the session according to that. So sometimes I look at it and think, oh my God, what did I say I was going to do? So I was very excited today when I picked this up and I was like, right, I've got to write this session for this evening. I was like, this is my most favorite thing. This is my favorite thing to do, is to come up with session ideas. So I was very happy. So there were 3 things that I promised in that initial copy. And the first one was that you would get brand new, fresh ideas for your sessions. The second one is that you would be inspired to generate your own sessions. And we are going to do a bit of breaking out into breakout rooms and doing some workshopping stuff as well, because last time we did this, it went down really well. You know, it felt like I kind of started you off and then you went off and had all these amazing ideas. And this is part of it, isn't it? If we can have brilliant ideas together and start working together, no matter where we work, that's the great thing about Zoom. We can put our heads together and come out with all these session ideas. And actually, it saves us loads and loads of time in our working day. And the other thing, of course, was to meet other facilitators and learn from each other, which you'll do when Shania presses magic buttons and breaks you off into breakout rooms. But before we do that, I think it would be good. I mean, I know that some of you know who I am, but some of you are brand new faces who don't. So I apologize to those that have heard me say this before, but I also know that when you come to something like a webinar, there's this, my coach calls it the WTFAY, which is, I won't say the other words because they're rude, but it's who are you, basically? Who are you to stand in front of me and tell us the stuff? So just to kind of give you a bit of background, a mental health nurse by trade. That's how I started off as a mental health nurse. And then 11 years ago, I started Memory Matters. This is a new thing, Memory Matters, with my sister-in-law, Kate, who's a general nurse. And, you know, basically it was a bit like, you know, I don't know if any of you got teenagers, but I have. And it's a bit like, you know, when you look next to the sink and you've got like this pile of washing stuff that needs to be washed and dirty plates and dirty cups and things, and they're just there, and you sort of sit in the kitchen and you think someone's going to do that in a minute, someone will do it in a minute, and then you watch people come into the kitchen and they just walk past it and they don't do it. That's how I felt in dementia care. I kind of felt like someone will do something about this in a minute, it'll be all right, and I'm going to follow that person when they come in and they make a change, and I'm going to work for them. And it didn't really happen. So I thought, oh bugger, I'm gonna do it then. But I didn't really know what I was doing, which is why I got my sister-in-law Kate involved, because she's the sort of person who's good at boxes and knowing how to do things and protocols and procedures and all the things that you need, like insurance, so that nobody gets hurt, and if they do, that you've got your bum covered. I was more about the let's do this, it's going to be amazing. So so it's a bit like, you know, when you're a child and there's 2 of you playing and you have to go and knock on someone's door and you're like, you do the talking, you do the talking. That's what I was like with Kate. You do the talking, you do the bit where you go in front of everybody. And anyway, 11 years on, and we've got such an amazing team, an award-winning team as well, which I'm so blooming proud of, who are really affecting change in dementia. And I just want to make that bigger, and I want to get everyone involved. I want to get you all involved because you're all doing really amazing stuff as well, but it isn't necessarily seen. So I kind of want to bring all that together and show all the amazing work that you're doing as well. So anyway, that brings me on to the sound session. Now, Shania, I'm going to really impress you now. Look at her face. Is she though? Is she though? Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. And I'm gonna I really want this to work. All right, just bear with me, everyone. Bear with me a second. You might want to talk amongst yourselves just for a second. I hate it. I hate technology. Right. I've got this PowerPoint and everything, Shania.
What's wrong? Is it not?
No, nothing's wrong. Nothing to see here. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Does that say the aims of CST on it?
Yes, it does.
If I do that, how's that looking for everyone? Is that good? Okay, so I just wanted to just recap. I know we're only looking at one session today, but obviously it's a session from CST, and I will always go through the aims of CST, because when we start moving away from that, then we start delivering something that isn't cognitive stimulation therapy. It might be lovely, we might be delivering a lovely session, but it isn't CST. And I think as a nurse from a nursing background, there's that, it's so important that we're delivering the evidence base, isn't it? So like if I was dressing a wound and there was the best evidence that I would use a particular dressing, then I wouldn't use another one out of the cupboard because it looked prettier. So I just I just want to kind of get your head around why it's so important that we do this, because there's, you know, it's been through clinical trials, we know that it works, so let's deliver it properly. So here are of course the aims of CST, or those core principles, if you like, just to go over them again. Sorry for those of you that I say this again and again, but I also think it's often useful to relook at these things. So mental stimulation is obviously a really big part of it, and I often say, you know, that the difference between the work that I did in a head injuries unit, where you know, a following shift I would work next door in a care home, the difference was amazing in terms of, okay, all these young people that had fallen off roofs and hit their heads had this amazing input, and a lot of expenditure spent, and then in the care home next door, where I was seeing very similar symptoms actually, and yet very little input, very little budget. You know, we were all doing the best with what we could, but essentially it wasn't the same thing. So the mental stimulation is about how do we create that mental stimulation that we would with somebody who was younger, essentially. You know, I have to say it's that, isn't it? It's about encouraging new ideas, new thoughts, and new associations. It is not about reminiscing. Reminiscing is part of CST, absolutely, but we don't go over the same stories again and again and again. We bring those stories in because it's really important, because that's where our identity is. But we also compare that to the here and now. So we have an older story, a story from the past, and we compare it with now. So looking at old wooden toys, comparing it to new, more plastic toys, or even, you know, the new technologies that we have in toys, and how children play nowadays compared to how they play in the past. So any subject that we bring up, we want to be thinking in our minds, how can I think about new ideas in this? We're also stimulating memory by providing triggers to aid recall. So we always have something that we can touch, we can feel, we can smell, bring all the senses in, because we know that the brain works better when we do that. And of course, there's consistency. So I'm not going through it today because I'm just going to assume that we know, but just to recap, each CST session will always begin and end in the same way. So we will always have a song, we will always have a newspaper discussion, we'll do the reality orientation board, where we talk about where we are in time, in place, in season. Implicitly, so this is where we talk about promoting implicit recall, is where we give clues to the time of day. I've just had my lunch is a clue to what time it is in the day, or I've just had my breakfast, or yeah, or it's really cold out there today. You know, I've had to wear my winter coat for the first time this year. Think about how we can bring in those conversations to help people know where it is in terms of time. And finally, validating and encouraging people's opinions, and not asking about facts. Now, I know this is like, sounds a bit mad in the world that we live in, because we actually really want to do the opposite when it comes to politicians. But when we're talking about people in our groups, what we want to do is get them to just talk, and it doesn't matter if what they're saying isn't actually in truth or in memory, because they will want to fill in those blanks, because that's what they need to do to take part in the conversation. So we encourage it, we don't correct. So we validate everything that they say. But one of a good example of that once was in a group where a woman I was speaking to, we were talking about breastfeeding, and she said, oh, I had 6 children and I breastfed them all. And we all said, wow, you know, we talked about it for a minute. About 10 minutes later, we were still on the subject. And she said, I had 6 children. I couldn't breastfeed any of them. So, you know, same conversation. So we validate that. We don't say, oh, hang on a minute, Mary, you said 10 minutes ago. You know, we wouldn't do that. We would just encourage the new thought and the new opinion. So those are the aims, and I just wanted to go over those. And then I just wanted to put up the objectives for the sound session. So it's the sound session in particular that we're going to be talking about today. So the objectives for the sound session is to promote concentration and recall, exercise the distinguishing and recognition of sounds. Okay, so think about this session as how can we bring sound into it? And the distinguishing of sounds. And also, like all CSE sessions, we're promoting word finding and naming, because we know, again, from the evidence, that that's one of the strongest things that came out of the evidence base, is that actually when people come to regular CST, it's their language, their word finding, and their language skills that improves more than anything. So that word finding and naming things is really important. And then, of course, promoting opinion and discussion, which runs throughout the whole of the CST sessions. So what I'm going to do now, I daren't come back to gallery view and see you all because I might lose it. So I'm going to press on to the end. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take you through some of the sound session ideas that I've come up with today. And some of them I've done before as well. I don't think I've just sort of come up with them all today. Some of them I've got experience in having facilitated as well. And we've got a massive session bank at Memory Matters from 11 years worth of running sessions. So let's start with session idea 1. Okay, so in this session, in all the sessions, of course, we do the word warm-up. And usually we would throw a softball. Now, COVID times, it makes it a little bit tricky because we can't throw something around the room, but I just want you to imagine these are non-COVID times. Just to say to you, during COVID times, because that's probably a bit unhelpful, during COVID times, you can use the board and just write rather than get them to say and throw the ball. The point of throwing the ball, of course, around the room is you're asking the brain to do lots of different things there, aren't you? They've got to think about where the ball is going, they've got to catch the ball, they've got to think about where they're going to throw it, and they've got to think about saying something from the category game. So the category here is just saying sounds, so just making sounds. So people might want to make raspberry sounds, again, probably not allowed in COVID times. But yeah, just making funny sounds like pop, ping, zoom. You might want to make sounds with your hands and your feet, and you might want to ping something or push something, but basically they need to make a sound and then throw the ball. The main part of the session is about discussing nonsense poetry. And so here is an idea. So we've got, there's lots, isn't there, that we could do, the Jabberwocky, the Ning Nang Nong. I'm just going to play you, hopefully this will work. Shania, I might just need your, no, I don't need your help, love.
You just need to share your sound.
I think I've done that. So all
Brilliant.
being well, I'm going to click on this link, and will everything be amazing, or will I need to?
It should be.
Okay, no, hang on, because I'll need to share that. Can you all hear that?
No.
Okay, that's all right. Here we go. Can you see Pam Ayres in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to play. So this is something that I might play to the group.
We never did it much, but now we do it every night. Well, married 30 years, in the end, you get it right. I don't mean to sound complacent, but we do it more and more. Yes, we clamber into bed and fall asleep, and then we snore. What did you think I meant? Sometimes we snore in unison. Sometimes we snore alone. I'm a soprano snorer, and he's a baritone. It never gets monotonous, each night a different sort. Some finish with a gargle. Others finish with a snort. Well, I only snore a bit, but once I couldn't snore at all. I suppose when I get going, you could hear me down the hall. But my husband is remarkable. His snoring is so loud that beneath our bedroom window, he's attracting quite a crowd. It's true, he is phenomenal. And some nights when he snores, my glass of water travels right across the chest of drawers. And if he adds a flourish, like a splutter, shout, or cough, I've seen the glass of water jump a mile and topple off. I could dance across the bedroom wearing just a feather boa. He would still lie flat upon his back and snore like Krakatoa. So let's hear it for the snorers now, wherever they may dwell. Just lie back and enjoy. Good night, sweet dreams, my friends. Sleep well.
Okay, so yeah, so what I would do is, and there are lots of different ones that we could use, but basically either, if you've got the facility to do that, is to actually show the video, but also, of course, there's lots of books, lots of poems that we can either download or books that we can use to actually read poetry to people with dementia. Again, you know, and again, sort of at risk of repeating myself, you know, I talk about the fact that Alzheimer's very much affects the left-hand side of the brain. Alzheimer's in particular, all the dementia is different, but Alzheimer's in particular tracks its way through the left-hand side of the brain. The right-hand side of the brain tends not to be so affected until later in the disease. And of course, the right-hand side of the brain is where we have rhythm and rhyme, song lyrics, nursery rhymes, music, which is why it's so great to go into that rhythmical work, and poetry, particularly rhyming poetry, really does that. So so that's what I would do in that session. I'll just share that one again. Are we good? Are we good, Shania? Okay, and then we would, you know, obviously talk about the poems. We might, you know, where somebody is able to and wants to, get a beneficiary or member of our group to read a poem. You know, all of this stuff is just brilliant. It just gets people really involved. And then we would collect the sounds that are perhaps in that poem. So we might use the Pam Ayres poem as an example. And then, so if we had it in front of us, we'd be able to look at the words that are sounds. So essentially the onomatopoeic words. We're going to come into that in a minute in another session, but essentially, what are those and what is the meaning of them? Can we pick them out? And of course, always with our sessions, we bring in differentiation. So the idea that some people may really struggle with that. So what are we going to do that's different? Are we going to have like word cards that they can just pick up or point to? And I've said to you before, you know, the idea that that we try and put people who are at the same stages in the same group. You know, our groups are generally 6 is the magic number, 8 is enough, no more than 8 in a group, so that you can really have that discussion. It's not always possible. You know, I know a lot of people run these groups in different areas, for example, memory cafes, where you have a complete range of people coming along, and all you can do in those situations is stick as best you can to the key principles. Okay. Oh, nothing's happening. Here we go. So here's another one. So there's the softball game. So this time we get them to say the onomatopoeic words. We talk about onomatopoeia. It's such a hilarious one to try and spell. You know, I'm sure some of you would be amazing at spelling, but I can never blooming spell the word. I remember my daughter at 9 spelt it in one of these spelling bee competitions, and I thought, well, that's it now. She's overtaken me in terms of spelling ability. But yeah, so what I would do is write the word on the board, see if we can spell it, I do this with most things actually when we're using the whiteboard, is get them to help me with the spelling, and that's genuine. It's genuinely, I need help sometimes, and of course, you know, these are the strengths of some people, so let's use each other's strengths and sit beside each other. I talk about that a lot, don't I? Sit beside each other to learn together and support each other. So the other thing is, can we come up with a good definition for onomatopoeia? So some people may not have heard of it, and some people will. You know, again, you'll have people with very different experiences of learning. And so again, we help each other out. You know, can we come up with a definition of it? So words that are sounds, essentially. And then how many words can we come up with? Now, with this one, you can use lots of clues. So if I went like this, you could tell me how you would describe that. What would you say? Click, hopefully. The same is that I could, you know, bang a couple of things together. You know, and again, can we describe the words? Is it knock or bang or crash? And we can stamp our feet, click our fingers. So, and then the word part of it, of course, is we can do a word game at the end of it using onomatopoeia. How many words can we make out of all those crazy letters? And that's a whole other sort of aspect of the session as well. And these are great ones to actually fall back on in any session, is a bit of a word game as well. But essentially we should come up with a big list of words. I've said there about hitting a mug with a spoon. You know, there's loads of ways that we can make sounds around the room wherever we are, and then try and describe it. What would you call that? Would you call it a crash or a bang or a ding? And think of how many we can come up with. Has anyone got any questions at this juncture? I always feel like I'm talking at you. I hate it. You all right? You're all good. Good. All right then. I'll keep going. Okay. Oh, I shouldn't have come off it, shouldn't I? Okay. Next one. Am I good? Okay, next one. Throw the softball and ask group to name instruments. So how many instruments can they think of? And then I love this one. Now this one, you either need a musician, right? Or you need to use your schoolgirl recorder skills, or boy, sorry, recorder skills, okay? So if you know the C scale, the C major scale, from C up to C and then up to the next C, so basically 14 notes, you would use higher and lower. So some of you would have played higher and lower in the numbers game, in the numbers session. This is sound higher and lower. It's very exciting. So basically, nab someone who can play a wind instrument, or if you can do it, anyone can do this. If you used to play the recorder, you can do this. You can do it. You just need a recorder. Anne's shaking her head at me. Did you never play the recorder, Anne? No, she's mouthing at me. All right, well, then you find someone who can. You know, the other thing, of course, is you might have a beneficiary in your group who can. Wouldn't that be amazing too, to get everyone involved? So basically what you would do for higher and lower is you would have 14 cards. They would pick a card, and so say they picked number 2. Yeah, so that would be a low D. So like C, D, E, F, G, that's how it works. So that would be a low D, you would play that. I should have bought my recorder to show you. And then they pick another card and they have to decide, will it be higher or lower? Will it be higher or lower? And they're just using sound rather than the numbers, okay? Higher or lower. And just like higher and lower when we use numbers, it really doesn't matter if we're right or wrong. It's more about what's the likeliness of the next note being higher or lower. We might be wrong, but it's good fun. So that's that one. Anybody who wants some more instructions on that, I do have the session plan which goes with it. This next one, I love this one. This is about creating a visual piece around where we like to sing. Okay, so again, I would create this. Oh, do you like my spelling mistake? Like, where we like to sing. So what I would do is I'd have a big piece of paper and a pen. And, we just do that. Where do we sing in the middle, as you can see? And then we would have the conversation. As we're having the conversation, I would add more and more. But it's not just about saying one thing and writing it down. I sing in the bath, right, bath. Where else do we sing? School. It doesn't go like that. The conversation goes like this. I sing in the bath. Oh, what do you sing in the bath, Gwen? What's your favorite song to sing in the bath? Yeah, so you're having conversations, all of these things that people are coming up with, you're creating conversation around it. People will tell you memories that they might have, and then we can have the opportunity then to do the here and now and the comparing old with new. Do you think we sing more than we used to, or do we sing more before? Some of us used to sing loads. I used to sing loads at school. I loved singing. I barely sing now. I certainly don't sing with other people very much, and that's kind of bringing into the here and now. With COVID, isn't it? We're being told that we couldn't sing. So you can see how those conversations start. And then what often happens, or in fact, every time I've done this session, people end up singing because you can't help it. What do you sing in the bath? Well, I don't know. And then someone tells you, but he's a jolly good fellow. Well, that's actually birthday parties, but you get my drift. Another one is singing at funerals, and this is often such a lovely discussion where people say, about a beautiful song that they heard at their friend's funeral, or a particular song that they would like to be played at their funeral. It's all about validating where people are and what they want to share with us. So it's not all, it's not all laughs, but it mostly is, but it's also about holding that space for real connection and a sharing of things. Okay, and this one is about, so the word one is, what different ways does water make sound? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean, because it's quite a hard one if you think about it, what different ways does water make sound? So you've got plop and swoosh and can't think of any more, but also ask them, in what situations does water make different sounds? So think about a swimming pool. What sort of sounds are made in a swimming pool? What sort of sounds happen in a waterfall, or with a waterfall, or a pouring of a drink? How would you describe those sounds? So again, the kitchen or bathroom game is one of my favorites. So what we do here is get together as many sound effects as we possibly can. Now, sound effects are really easy to find online now. When I first started doing groups 10 years ago, it was a bit more difficult, but you can find sound effects for everything now. All you need to do is get the links ready so that you're ready to press them on your iPad or whatever you're using. So if I just give you, that's not going to work, is it? Because it'll take you onto a different page. But I'll give you the slides to these, by the way, if you would like them afterwards, so that you can actually use them and click on the links and see what happens. But basically, I collect together as many sounds as I can, and then we play, is it from the kitchen or is it from the bathroom? Now, what's really funny about this is, well, it's just a funny thing to do, isn't it? Is it the sound of someone pouring a coffee? Is it though? And it's, the old toilet flush with the big long chain that you used to pull, it causes people to share memories. It's like, oh, toilets don't sound like that anymore, do they? So you can see how these great conversations take place. So yes, we're playing a game, and it can get very competitive when you split people into teams. That just happens. But also some great conversations come out of it as well. So that's the sound session. Oh, an idea session 7 isn't there? So let me just stop a moment, because there are a couple more that I wanted to mention. So sound bingo is a great one. If you've not come across that, that's really easy to make. I always say, it's time or money always, isn't it? So you can buy these things or you can make them, and making them, if you've got time, is obviously a lot better. And it does mean that anybody can do it. You don't have to have really massive budgets. You can do it on a shoestring, but obviously it will take you more time. The sound bingo, what I would do there is collect together some sounds again, and I would create a card, really easily done again on the internet, isn't it? You download pictures of the thing, the sound, and then you create yourself, either using Canva, if anyone, uses Canva, you can use Canva. If not, you can just use a Word document and put the pictures in, and then you might want to print it out and laminate it, and there you've got bingo cards then that can be used over and over again. And then we tend to use little post-it notes so people can cover the picture of the sound that they heard using post-it note. And then if you want to go all out, yes, Liz.
What's it called? Canva, did you say? Canva?
Canva, C-A-N-V-A.
Canva.
So it's
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's great, and it's a really great. So you can put all sorts of things together on Canva, and there's a free version, so you don't have to pay for it. And you can get things looking really pretty actually on Canva without any knowledge of how people do that.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. That's what we're here for. So so that's about it in terms of me throwing a load of ideas at you. And I'm really conscious, I don't really like just talking at you all the time, because it's all right for a bit, isn't it? But it's really nice if you can talk to each other as well. So I think what I'd really like to do is to, at this point, sort of split you into some groups and then just have a little bit of a discussion. See if you can come up with a session. See if you can come up with a session together. Try for it it doesn't have to be elaborate. Just have a look around your room and think about how, if you had 10 minutes to come up with a session idea, what would you do? Okay, so Shania's going to split you into groups to do a bit of a.
Yeah.
So we got. We'll give you 10 minutes.
Yeah. So we got 1 group of 5 and 3 groups of 4. So I will split you off.
Enjoy each other. Are they coming?
1 minute. Oh, 39 seconds. They're obviously all busy.
Countdown, isn't it? But that means that they're all in lots of conversation, because otherwise you'd click, wouldn't you, together?
Yeah.
Having a lovely time.
Okay. Ten, 9. No, just go. Boom.
Like magic. Here they come. Right, everybody. How was that?
Brilliant.
That,
We were happy with what we did.
come up with some ideas?
Yep, we did.
Is anybody who would like to share what they came up with? We haven't got time for everybody to feedback, but who would like to share what they came up with?
Well, can I say, I thought the sounds of animals, the noises of animals, and then I just happened to be moving some coat hangers and made the sound of the clicking of the coat hangers. Yep. And then there's the sound of the telephone. There's the sound of the clock, tick tock. There's the sound of an alarm. Lots of things all around.
Lovely. Brilliant. Okay. Go on, Ari.
No, and then one of our group, she was suggesting, see what you were suggesting about the countries?
Oh yes, I was thinking about sounds that are different from different countries, and then who was it? It was Julie, I think. Although I couldn't see. That we were suggesting we have pictures of different countries and guessing where the sounds come from. So that was a combined effort. with Julie and I, but sadly Jane hasn't got any sound.
Oh no.
Which I thought was ironic.
Yeah, it's quite ironic. Oh, Jane, sorry to hear that. Was Jane able to type though? Could you? We're on mute now. Okay, I just wanted to say, one of the things I want to say is, Ben, I can see that you said you're a musician. So you must have thought I was completely bonkers when I said, what did I say? The wrong numbers anyway. It's 8 in a scale, isn't it? So that would make 16 two scales.
It's all good.
And I was saying 14. So but anyway, proving that you don't have to be a musician to be able to do that session, but I reckon Ben could come up with an awesome session being a musician. So
Well, yeah, yeah, maybe. I'm new to all of this, so it's something I'm looking to get into. So yeah, a lot of ideas sort of sparking off, but it's as I've never taken a session before, it's a little bit sort of where would I start? But there's a lot of ideas, which yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And I think the thing about CST is it's so structured that it is, once you've got the structure and you understand the principles, you've seen today how you can fill that with these amazing ideas, and then just making sure that it sticks to the principles. You can't really go wrong. I love getting you together to chat, because ideas are great, aren't they? You can come up with an idea, but you sit with someone else, it gets even better, and then someone else again, and then before you know it, you've got, a really amazing group. But yeah, there's absolutely no reason why CST couldn't be used with a lot more music. One of the slides that I was trying to create, which it wasn't there at the end, was looking at using rubbish to make music. So I'm sure most of you heard of Stomp, who famously use lots of rubbish and tubs and things to create music, and that again is another session that I've done really successfully. So doing like that call and response, where you just sort of bang out a rhythm and then everybody responds, and you don't have to have expensive drums. And I look around your room and see I want you to choose an instrument out of normal everyday objects, and let's see what we can do. So, yeah,
Laura, I was just going to say, I've done we were trained in CST in December, and we've used the principles of it in our dementia work, and we've been delivering some VCST, and there was one particular lady who we'd had a planned session, but it doesn't always go to plan, as you probably know. And I ended up turning around to my 3-year-old's instrument box and ended up playing all these instruments out of the box. And she was, telling me what they were. She could hear the sounds. And from that, which we didn't know before, she sang with the Halley Orchestra at Manchester. She was in the choir. So that sparked a whole another conversation with this individual. And we've found just YouTube music clips. So we've done one recently on Lancashire, and we've done famous faces of Lancashire, and we've used music, and they just light up the contribution once you play the music, singing along. It's been great. And obviously, be it virtual, you don't get that same connection as you would face to face, but it's worked really well.
Fantastic. Oh, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. I love hearing this stuff. So the final thing really to do is to tell you about 3 things that I want to tell you about. Okay, so one is we have Cognitive Stimulation Therapy Facilitators Club Facebook group, which is free. If you're not in it, please get in it, because the more of us that are in it, the better, as you can see, with sharing ideas. So I think Shania will pop that in the chat in a minute. So no worries, Judy, see you soon. So Shania's going to pop that in the chat. And if you just click on it, you can join the CST group. And we'd love to see you in there. Those of you that are already in it, lovely. Be ready to welcome these lovely new people in and give them a very happy hello. And so that's that. And then the other thing is, if you haven't done the cognitive stimulation therapy training, that's something that we offer. And we now, because of COVID, we've moved it all online, so it's even more accessible. So again, that's something that you might want to do. again, you can find out about that in the facilitators Facebook group. So it's a good place to start really in there, is have a little look around. So that's some training that we offer. And then finally, if you wouldn't mind, I would like to just tell you about our fellowship training as well, if that would be okay. So just give me a thumbs up if you would be happy for me to just tell you about that very quickly. Brilliant. Okay, so this is where Shania shares her screen, hopefully. But basically, the fellowship is, we're so excited about this. This starts in September. It's a whole new thing that we're offering because we've listened to feedback in terms of what support people living with, what support people who are working with people living with dementia want. And we've been really surprised actually by this. So when we first started looking at offering this fellowship program, we were looking at supporting organisations to be able to provide. What we found is in our market research is that many people just wanted to know how to get up and running in terms of providing sessions in their own communities. And it wasn't just about the CST, it was also about how the hell do I do that? How do I even start, a project or a business that's sustainable? And obviously we've got a lot of experience in that, having done it for the last 11 years. So this program really, it takes you through 3 stages, which you can see here. It's a 6-month program. We meet with everybody every Monday for an hour and a half for a live session. That's with me and Shania, and we also bring in some of our team from Memory Matters as well to take different sessions. And we will be giving you everything you need. This is the first time that we've done this, so we want to make sure that it's right. So we will be listening to you and hearing what you want, and we will be providing what you want. So we're essentially building it with you as we go along. So in the vision module, you'll be creating a vision for the future so that you can begin to follow a really clear set of plans to actualize your drive to make a difference for people living with dementia in your community. And we are by your side throughout the whole way. That's the first part of it, the first 12 weeks. The second 12 weeks is the build stage. So this is, sorry, not 12 weeks at all, because there's my maths again. So there's a final part, which is 12 weeks. So the second stage is the build. In this module, you'll master creating reliable referral streams. This is the bit that people really struggle with sometimes, is how do you get those referrals through? So you've set something up and now you're having trouble with getting people to come through. And we know that the difficulty very often is particularly the gap between NHS provision and then your provision after that. Now, it should be this beautiful seamless thing that happens. People get their 14 sessions or whatever it is that your local memory service provide, and then they should come beautifully into your maintenance sessions. And we know that it doesn't happen everywhere, and it takes a lot of building of relationships. And that again is something that we have really experienced over the last 11 years, and we have contacts everywhere. So the hope is that we can really help you to bring those referral streams coming through. And also providing that really clear, easy customer journey for people. So we give you everything, all of our referral documents. We'll give you literally everything we've used in the last 11 years. I'd rather people are using it so that people with dementia are getting this therapy in their community. So basically, if we've got it, you can have it. And then finally, it's the begin part. And in this module, we will continue to meet with you weekly, but this is going to be much more of an open coaching session. So you will come along and you'll be able to say, we're not getting enough referrals. What do we do about this? And we will problem solve with you to make sure that you're getting what you need. Or it might be that you are having trouble in a session. You might have somebody, a beneficiary, who is dominating the session. You're wondering, how do you facilitate that? You might have any issue, it doesn't matter. You come to us and we will iron those out with you. The other point, of course, is to say that what's lovely about this is we're building a community. So we're hoping that you will be alongside other fellows who are part of that community with you. And I know myself, having been through a few coaching programs lately, that actually that is worth everything, being with other people who are in the same boat as you, who are trying to do the same thing. And we're supporting people. You'll just be in a different area. So there's 18 live interactive training sessions over 24 weeks. We also have this dedicated training platform where there will be the recordings of the sessions that we do live, but there'll also be other sessions on there that we will be aware that we can't deliver everything in an hour and a half every week. So there will be other sessions on there that you might want to look at. So for example, if business is not your thing, you might want to do some of Kate's sessions that she has there on, how to do a cash flow forecast, how to do your projections, how to make sure essentially that you're making enough to be able to provide. You'll also have access to the VIP group, and that is everything that you could that you could possibly want in a group with your community. So you can access us at any time in there, not in the middle of the night though. And then also I'm a mindset coach as well, so I will be bringing that to the fore. So anything that's in your way in terms of charging people for your sessions or whatever it is, we can get through that. So I'll be doing that with you, and Kate, my other half, will be doing the business development coaching with people. And that's really it in a nutshell. And thank you very much, because I think we've gone over time. Only by a minute, not too bad. If you have any questions or if you want to chat with us, we are really, really open to having chats. If you contact Shania, we'll just set up a meeting and jump on a Zoom and have a chat. We'd love to chat with you anyway.
Got a quick question, Laura, from Laura. Planning to undertake facilitator training and wondering if I may ask, are any starter resources like the sound sessions that are available, accessible to individuals new on their CST, MCST, VCST journey to support them? Thank you.
So this is where I would suggest, I don't know if you've got it, Laura. Where is Laura? There she is. I can see her. So have you got the Making a Difference manuals, the Amy Spector's manuals?
No, I don't. I'm an OT student, so I'm on placement and just loving everything that this has thrown at me. And yeah, I've been lucky enough to receive some training through uni, but I feel like I just, to have a couple of sessions in my arsenal would be amazing, and because I just think it would be supportive to then guide my future planning with it.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I do is recommend the manuals. So there's 2 manuals that are available to buy, which is the Making a Difference one, which is the blue one, and this is the original the original trials, comes from the original trials. The blue one, and there's a red one, which is the maintenance CST, which is Making a Difference 2. I would recommend the second one over the first one, although the first one has been rewritten last year. So maybe that's unfair to say that because I haven't read the second edition of the first one. But previously the Making a Difference 2 has a lot more in it. It has video clips in there as well of sessions in progress, which are very useful. So that's one thing to recommend. And then secondly, obviously the CST facilitators group on Facebook, I would highly recommend, because we've got loads in there, because basically everyone who comes through the training will do a session which they put in the group, and also in the files in the CST there's some in there as well. So at the moment we don't have any outside of the fellowship, and obviously within the fellowship we have lots of sessions and we basically share everything. But yeah, certainly the facilitators group, and ask questions in there, ask people if they want to share a session as well, because there's lots to be had and share.
Yeah,
Leslie,
thank you so much.
you're welcome. Leslie?
I just wanted to say you've moved the tea and chat on a Tuesday to once a month now, because for the last 3 months I've been trying to join and work won't, as in something always comes up. When's the next one?
That's a really good question.
I'll find out.
I don't know. I think it must be in 3 weeks' time. But if you just keep an eye in the group, we will be saying, or like on the Monday, we'll be saying it's tomorrow. I guess you probably need to know that before then, though, don't you? I tell you what, tomorrow.
Just look in the calendar, Laura.
Okay.
No, I think you've put it in there.
Tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll put up a post in the CST group with the dates that are coming up. Would that be helpful? It would, wouldn't it? For forward planning, so that you can, yes. See, that's why it's really helpful to get feedback. Because yeah, probably finding out on the Monday before the Tuesday isn't very helpful.
It's Tuesday the 20th of July, just before your annual leave.
Oh yes, I'll be haggard. yeah, do feel free to come along. It's such a lovely session. It's not even a session, it's just a Zoom room open. Come and talk to us. You know, come and talk to other facilitators and talk to me and cheer me up before I go on annual leave. We'll see you there. All right, it's lovely, really, really lovely to see you. And thank you so much for your time and letting me jabber on. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank